Good evening, everyone. We have with us tonight a very special guest. I'm sure a lot of people are going to recognize. We have Aldo Pescatori. How's it going? Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, did I lose you, Chris?
I can hear you. Okay. Yep, you're back. I think you just froze for a half second. Cool, we're
Oh,
good.
okay.
So yeah, we have Aldo. Yeah, Patrick OMG is right. The man is with us. A lot of people, a lot of people probably remember Aldo. He worked with us for feels like a few years, but I think it was only one or two. But very
Yeah.
good times. Aldo is now the co-host of the SoFly podcast. I'm sure probably even more people now recognize you from that. And you're a super fishy guy, good tire. You've been working in sort of part time in the fly fishing industry for a long time. What's kind of your past there? What's your history?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, for those also, first of all, thank you for having me on. And it's always awesome to still be connected to you guys because, like you said, we worked together in 2018, I think, till almost like, yeah, you're right. I think it was like just shy of 2 years,
Yeah.
which was great. But I gotta say, we got some important business to handle. And first and foremost, happy birthday, Chris. Happy birthday,
Thanks.
man. How you feeling? A COVID birthday.
Yeah, another day. But no place I'd rather spend it. Talking fly tying. That might be a small
No,
lie, but
no place you
this
can
is
spend it.
yeah, exactly. But no,
So
this
yeah,
is a
happy
great
birthday,
time.
my man. But yeah, I grew up in Ottawa, and Ottawa is a fantastic warm water fishery. Of course, we have the Ottawa River, Rideau Canal. It's not the troutiest of places before you have a driver's license anyway. But growing up, my mom, I don't know, possessed her to buy me a fly rod from Canadian Tire when I was 10. But she did, like, the old Fenwick combo. And then not long after the Green Drake, if anybody knows that shop, that the Green Drake Outfitters in Ottawa opened. And I started just kind of like mowing lawns and saving up to buy flies and, leaders and stuff. And then when I turned 16, I worked at Green Drake, actually pretty much until I left for university. Um, and uh, and yeah, fly fishing is always, like you said, it's been a part-time part of my life, but now it's a full-time part of my life. And after 2018, started working at Drift, doing some instruction through you guys, and then of course meeting the SoFly dudes and joining up with them, and becoming a host on the show. And now it's kind of like almost very close to being a full-time thing.
That's awesome. Love to hear the backstory. Very, very cool. So you've got a pretty unique kind of idea for us for tonight. We're not really focusing. I mean, I think most of the flies are kind of more trouty in nature, but it's not even
Definitely.
necessarily a trout specific talk tonight. It's flies on the fly. It's quick to tie, like emergency flies. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We've found that, like, because we go film, we're definitely very privileged to do as much traveling as we do, with SoFly, and even with let's say day shoots, up to the credit of the grand. Sometimes, often I find either, it'll be one of those days where you lose everything that's working, or the only thing that's working you only have one of. That we've gone into some, pretty remote cabins and had to bring our tying stuff with us because, again, if you run out, there's no option to go buy more. So today I thought we'd focus on a few patterns that, I always bring a small tying kit with me, even if it's a day trip now, because I've come into those situations where I'm like, oh man, this one fly was working, and it's lunchtime and I've got some time to tie some flies. So I've got a few patterns today. I'm definitely going to start, like you said, Chris. They're definitely more trouty type flies, but it's kind of appropriate with opener, next month, and definitely with high water is definitely when I get snagged more. So it kind of fits, and
Sure.
uh, and so I have a couple of nymphs, a couple of shall we say more controversial flies. Um, I can't not tie squirmy, so we'll tie squirmy, and then one streamer to finish it all off. But the main idea is yeah, I think there's been so many innovations in not only tying but also traveling. Tying, traveling. Like Fish Pond makes so many wicked travel packs, and of course, when I upgraded to the Renzetti Traveler, it made
Right
bringing
in
the
the name.
vise and tying anywhere pretty easy. It fits in your backpack and or even your waist pack, and it's all about, like, how can you tie a few different flies with only a few ingredients. Like how can you stay light and nimble, but still be an effective fly tire? I'm going to start with one. Actually, a lot of this has to do with like kind of hacks, if you will. One actually I learned from you, Chris, and we're going to start off with a nymph.
Cool. Here, I'm gonna throw you over
like a Frenchy style nymph.
Yeah, so we'll jump into it. I'm just gonna throw in full screen here. So as
Oh,
usual,
true.
so while we're doing this, Aldo's gonna walk us through these flies, these hacks, all that good stuff. But then I'm sure there'll be some questions that'll pop up. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I will pass them on to Aldo as we go, and yeah, see where the night takes us.
Wicked, fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, first and foremost, I am not a pro tire like Chris. So I'm definitely a pragmatic tire. My flies definitely catch fish, and which is great for me. but yeah, by no means I'm a tire. So
I hate that everybody starts their
hard.
talk by saying, "I'm not Chris." Take some credit.
I don't know, man.
You're
You're a pretty good tire.
That's all
I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You're a good tire. Maybe I'll lower my camera just a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
maybe a tad.
A second. How's that?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the first thing we're going to try Frenchy style fly, and what the first kind of hack that I realized was, what ties are really good. I love pheasant tail style like colors and whatnot. It definitely browns definitely cover a lot of bases, right? So the first little kind of hack is that I actually tie sometimes. I'll always have a body quill on me, Viva's body quill, and I'll actually just kind of use that as thread if I'm kind of trying to move quickly. Now, does dubbing stick to this as well as thread? Absolutely not. But we're just going to be doing a small collar on this fly anyway, so there's not a whole lot of dubbing that's happening. It's a kind of like trying to stay easy with like a 3-part fly here. So of course we're going to start with the tail material, Coq de Leon. I'm tying on a Dohiko barbless jig, size 14.
Yep.
I've got a tungsten bead, pink. Pink is one of my faves when matching with brown. That's a personal choice. Obviously, there are many effective colors, but I do love pink, pale pink. And of course the body quill, and then I'm going to finish off the tie with a little collar of iced pink, also to match the head. Again, I for whatever reason, it's that tie with confidence or fish with confidence thing. Pink has always been a great color for me, so I kind of tend to stick with it. Of course, I know other colors work, but yeah, let's get going. Cool. So, of course, we'll seat the. Get this a little bit tighter on there. We get to tying first, and yeah, what I found with this fly is that, when it comes to the body material, because you're using body quill, you get that kind of flashiness, which I like. It also is kind of like it's an interesting kind of iridescence. So I don't know, for me, it's like it does something to the body that is pretty interesting and eye catching, I think, from a fish's perspective. And with Euro style nymphs, I've definitely, since starting at Drift, have come to enjoy fishing Euro style nymphs. It keeps that really slim profile that cuts through the water, which of course can be very effective, especially it's what you want when you're tying Euro style nymphs or fishing Euro style nymphs is a slim profile to cut through the water column, and I find that the body quill does that very well. Again, does it manipulate materials as well as thread? Probably not, but it does cut down on time. And I don't know if you saw some of those photos you guys were sharing, but that one of me in the parking lot was like, we were in the middle of we're in the middle of Pennsylvania shooting, and there was one fly that was working, and it was this one. And so we were just trying to pump out as many as I could at lunchtime before we got the cameras back rolling. So we'll start with the tail, of course.
That's another point, I guess, is that with these sort of quick to tie flies, it's important to have, like, say, nymphs especially. I mean, you just lose nymphs. Nymphs get lost. It's what they're almost made to do.
Yep.
You need them to be that quick to tie formula. There might be some bass guys, pike guys, whatever, kind of shaking their heads trying to figure out why we're.
See, that's the problem. Can sometimes definitely break.
Yeah, it is a pretty weak, but I do the same. I tie flies with it as well, just as a thread. It's great.
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome thing when you showed it to me. It made so much sense that I was like, oh, geez, like let's I was like, let's definitely do that, and that's why. I mean,
Nope.
for,
Did we? Okay.
it's great for so many reasons, but it can also be used as a thread, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get this tail on, and then we'll go from there.
Question for you, Aldo.
Yeah.
Not so much of a time question, more of a technical thing. Just the
Yeah.
camera's gotten jostled a couple times with the headphone wire. Could you?
Okay.
I don't know if it would help. Maybe tuck the wire like underneath the base of your vise or something, so it didn't so easily get moved.
Yeah, totally. Sure. Yeah,
Kinda
of
anchor
course.
it. I might fix it. Just might be a little distracting. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works. What I was gonna say is that yeah, there are probably some kinds of flies that's more important to have these in your bag for than others. Although I remember when you guys were at the Ottawapiskat a few years back, Mitch was banging out pike flies in the cabin there. So if nothing else, it's nice to be able to kill
it's nice when
some
you don't
time.
have to move and you can bring stuff. But that was another panicky thing because we were on the. It was our first I gotta say that was our first really major shoot,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the first time having like a real lodge client, and so we were like, oh my god, what if we don't catch anything? What if we, which of course was not the case. I mean, in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, it was like, well, what if what if we don't catch anything? What if only one thing's working? How are we going to travel effectively, while also at the same time, there are definitely weight restrictions to taking a float plane. So how do we balance all of that, and still, I guess it's all about being like what can you take with you that's going to make you successful?
Yeah.
Like, how do you want to fish that day, or how do you want to fish that trip? And Chris, I know you travel down south a lot, and that's also consideration when you're traveling. Which is like, do I bring 800 million flies, or do I bring some things to tie with so I can actually, successfully, recreate some patterns that are working.
Yeah.
So I am going to use a little bit of, I've got soft wire, gold, small, for just a simple rib.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, is it super necessary with the body quill? Probably not. But of course, you're going to want to build the body quill up a little bit so you get a taper, but not too much so you, so you make the fly bulky. That's not what you want to be doing with that fly, making it all bulky.
So do you, although like if you're packing for these things, yeah, you mentioned you have weight restrictions and stuff, and I mean even if you're going so far, I know there are people who will tie riverside. I think that it's usually a little extreme, maybe not for a lunch break, but like while you're fishing to suddenly break off and start tying. But I mean, you can't take everything obviously, but you want options, and you may not need full packs of stuff. Do you like segment off? Do you spool off a couple feet of wire off a spool and pack it separate? Like, do you do that sort of thing?
Definitely. I mean, we all know when you're shopping for fly tying materials, like you're in no short supply of small little plastic bags, and that's actually a really good point, Chris. Like when it comes to beads, I'll organize my beads in like a little segmented container, and then I'll save all of the little bead bags to do just that. I'll say, and it's also just a good way to keep yourself organized in terms of, you don't want just like loose spools of thread rattling around your bag or whatever. So what I usually do is I'll have one little, zip. If I'm doing a bigger trip, like the fish bond, like kind of traveling, fly tying material bag is excellent. But you're right. Like you don't want a million things if you're just going for the day. So I'll just keep like a small little zippered bag. I think, was it like Patagonia sells those little like zippered
The little
day
little
bags
black
or whatever.
bulky, yeah, like a tiny just little zippered bag kind of thing.
Yeah, like anything really. And then what I'll do is I'll keep a little Ziploc container full of bags, a little a little bit of thread, sorry, Ziploc container full of like spooled wire, one thing for the feathers. So that way I know like my feathers are here, my dubbing's there. Like I'll use again another little segmented container for dubbing. Like I'll pre blend dubbing beforehand, and some and keep it off to the side, because you're right. Yeah, staying kind of organized is definitely what you want to do on the riverside for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, where did my ice tub go? So we'll finish this off with the collar. Again, it's very simple ties, very quick. I try to rattle off like a few of these as quickly as I can, if I can, if I need to. And then, like I said, you kind of want to, if we're let's just stay, if we're sticking to nymphs, brown is definitely obviously a very great color. But then also to have like your greens or your grays or your blacks. It depends what you like. Like if you love tying, I don't know, if you love tying black midges, and if you find that's working for you, like a zebra midge style pattern, then yeah, then you'll probably take black. I love browns. I love olives. So I'll usually take a brown and an olive, and I feel like I can definitely cover my bases that way. So we just want to do a few wraps of the pink just to get a nice tight collar, and that's pretty much it. And then we're done.
Easy.
Because then I find if it's a mayfly day or a stonefly day, or if it's caddis day, or depending on where you're fishing, then that way you can adapt. Again, like I said, it's just about like maybe covering some bases. So that's the first one, just like your simple Frenchy type fly. And I'd say the hack on this one is to use your Vivas body quill for the body, as opposed to thread and then worrying about ribbing. I did use ribbing. Do you need to in this case? Probably not. But that would be my first little like life hack, if you will, on that one.
Cool. Looks great. Very fishy. We had
a very fishy fly. It's been very, it's been fished a lot by me.
Yeah.
And my friends. and yeah, again, it's like a 3-part fly, and you can crack it out pretty quickly.
Yeah. Sweet.
Which is great.
Very. We have a question from Patrick.
Yeah.
He was curious what our favorite fly boxes are. That's a big question.
Great question. Yeah. Some of my favorite fly boxes are the I guess those really thin slotted style, especially for nymphs.
Yeah.
The thin slotted style, I find you can really fit a lot in your pack. Like let's say again, we're going for the day. If we're going for the day, I usually let's take my camera equipment out of it, because that adds a whole other layer of like things that most people don't have to worry about. But if I take my camera equipment out of it, I'm usually just using the Thunderhead, the waist pack from Fish Pond, and I find I can fit a few fly boxes, especially if it's mainly a nymph dry fly kind of day. Those would probably be my favorite. Yeah, I think I love those slot, and I use those for saltwater flies too. So obviously for
the tackies that you're referring to, or just like any kind of, is the tackies you're talking about, or just like any kind of slotted fly box?
I'd say tackies, or what's that brand you guys carry? It's gray foam.
Plan D's.
And it's clear.
Plan D. Or
yeah, well, there's the Plan B ones. Yeah. Plan B, or tacky's great because it's the silicone, which is awesome. Yeah, I find those. But yeah,
those are my go-to.
The thinner, I guess the thinner you can get, the thinner profile you can get, those are the ones that I tend to like. Again, not super practical for streamers, in which case those Plan B boxes are probably best.
Yeah. Plan D is great. The tacky is awesome. That's what I use myself, Patrick. I mean, so different flies, as Aldo's getting out, you need different boxes. That said, we are actually getting a couple other brands of boxes into the shop soon that I'm very excited about too. So
oh yeah?
That may be updated, but I do suspect that those will stay top of the list. Yeah, doesn't get
nice.
Anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna get back into. I'm gonna mix this up with something really fun and really quick. And I don't think I'll have to change thread. I've also gotten into multiple bobbin life. So I'll load 2 bobbins. So I'm just like, do one, do the other one. Even when I'm at home, I find that like, especially if I'm using body quill, like not as a thread, if I'm using it as an accent piece, I find that I can thread it and manipulate it very easily. But yeah, multiple bobbin life, if you can live that kind of life, is worth it. I'm gonna go back to that Pennsylvania story. I had no idea how effective egg style patterns were gonna be for early season browns. I was so fixated on being Mr. Squirmy that I didn't realize that, and I was fishing with, I was lucky enough to fish with Tim Camisa, Trout and Feather. And if you guys want to check out a really good tire and a really awesome dude, I'd check him out. But he was like, how do you guys not have any sucker spawn? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, go buy some eggs to see right now. And I was like, okay. And I went to the fly shop and he was like teaching me streamside how to tie this because it's like hilariously easy to tie. So yeah, ecstasy. You guys have that?
Tons. So much. And
Tons.
Also the new electric ecstasy with UV flash.
Whoa.
Ooh.
I'm going to try that
The
out.
original.
I've also, full disclosure, biggest brown trout I've ever seen. Mitch's uncle Joe caught it out of the credit, sorry. And it was caught on sucker spawn. So,
There you go.
I mean, it's definitely very effective. It's, if we're getting into I think Rob titled this the quick and dirty fly tying session. This is the dirty part, but it's also the quick. So yeah, it's just I've got a size 12 Dohiko jig. I have my gold slotted tungsten bead on there. I'm just gonna quickly
what, a
seek the thread. Yeah,
3.5 mil on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. And for what it's worth, this thing has been amazing for steelhead too. If anyone wants like a good like point fly, like heavy egg pattern for steelhead, this thing.
Oh my god, totally.
Yeah.
And it's just like what's great about it too is like it really does like just the way the material is. It acts as kind of it does mimic sucker spawn like perfectly.
Yeah. Without all the little fancy loops that you tie in the traditional sucker spawn.
Well, it's just like it looks like a cluster of eggs.
Yeah.
Just the way that they've done the material.
Yeah, it's just kind of lumpy and it's nice.
And that's that really. And again, like obviously I'm not I'm not bringing a whip finisher with me.
Sure.
I'm just doing half hitches here. And that's that. I'm like, okay, done. And we caught so many fish on this in Pennsylvania. And to Chris, to your point, I've actually started using it for steelhead as well, which is great. And how long did that take? Like 2 seconds.
Yeah, quite literally.
Awesome. quite literally 2 seconds, which is cool. I'm gonna switch gears. We'll go to streamer now. So I'll change up my bobbin really quick. Chris, looking forward to opener.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Yeah. And we got, I mean, lucky in some ways with the relatively mild winter. Hopefully we get enough snow on the ground that things aren't going to heat up too quickly this spring. But I mean, yeah, still just dying for it. So excited. We did have another question, and I definitely have an opinion, but you might have a different one, so I'll let you go first. Again, from Patrick, he's curious, again, more of a fishing question. Any opinions on the efficiency of fishing eggs weighted, like with a bead, versus external weight, like split shot with an unweighted fly?
Oh. Well, I think it would be about. So the question is like, do you weight the hook or do you weight the line, like your leader kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I think for me, it's a flow rate. The answer would be flow rate related. I think I'd probably be more likely to weight my lead to use a dropper with some split shot on it.
Mm-hmm.
Should I be in slightly slower water? Like if I'm, let's envision the big head, and the big head, has some pretty crazy pocket water, and then it goes into these long slow pools. I think I would rather in the pocket water fish a weighted fly because I know first of all I can get control of it and keep contact a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of understand where the fly is. But then if I'm fishing under an indicator in slower water, I'd probably be more likely to fish a dropper I still think either would be effective, but when you get into pocket water, um, when you get into pocket water and using heavier style nymphs, I found that in the places that you are allowed to use two nymphs, I find that like one darts one way and the other one darts one way, and you kind of take it out of the fishing zone, out of your target zone. So it's almost better to just fish with one. For me anyway, I've found that it's easier to fish with one fly because I can keep contact, and I think it's a great question because in slower water, I can envision that an egg pattern would look more realistic. It had having no weight on the hook, no bead on the hook. That would be my gut reaction to that answer. I don't know what you feel about that, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much exactly that. I think I would even take the weighted fly, um, maybe a little more often in slightly slower water. Like it would, I would be of the same mind in really slow water. Yeah, for sure, weightless egg, let it drift along a little more naturally. But I would, fish that split shot below to keep touch with the fly. But yeah, you're totally right. And like with any bit of flow, and especially if you're working with a shorter drift where the
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time to get down, then I've
Mm-hmm.
even drop shot systems with like heavy split shot, and it takes like half the drift before your fly gets down to the zone if you're using a weightless fly. So uh,
Totally.
yeah, especially in that pocket water or just like heads of pools, just heads of pools. Um,
Yep.
Totally weighted for me, like
Yeah,
90% of the time probably these days. Yeah.
that's a
Uh,
great point. Yeah, I that's a great question, Patrick. Yeah, I've
yeah.
kind of definitely learned, have been thinking about flow rates more ever since, really getting into Euro nymphing and even just watching, the ways in. I still think indicator fishing is definitely. There are times where you do need to use it, so it's definitely not a. I don't think it should just be this lost skill. Um, but you do start needing to think about how is that fly behaving? How fast are you getting
But yeah, I
down?
think the second
What are the
important part.
hydrodynamics of the certain run that you're fishing, and that definitely is the consideration there.
Yeah.
Solid question though.
Cool. Keep them coming. Anyway,
Keep
what
them
do we got
coming.
next?
So I think I'm gonna get back to a nymph
Cool.
real quick, and I think we'll move on to the like you were saying, talking about different hacks for the definitely keeping staying organized is the next one, and I like to blend dubbing beforehand. I think you get some interesting variations of some nymphs and some nymph colors that maybe you wouldn't find, or maybe there's just that thing that works on your stream. So I always blend beforehand, and I keep a little like quick little thing to go. This is a little memento um, from Montana, but there are many ways to stay organized. So I'll pre-blend and I'll have like olives and blacks and browns ahead of time, and so I'm just gonna tie. Yeah, you got another like little Euro style nymph, but the big hack here is let's blend. Um, you can blend your dubbing ahead of time, get it prepped, almost like you're prepping for dinner. You're chopping all your vegetables up beforehand, and then when it comes to dinner time, you're just ready to assemble. Would be my uh, kind of hack on this one. But let's get seated with the thread, and we'll go from there. Again, I'm tying on the Dohiku size 14 jig. I've got Vivas tan thread, and it's going back. Get a nice thread base. I would also say another another product drop would be get the little if you are going to tie on the stream, or if you are tying at your car, not to leave trash behind. Those fish pod, the bigger pyopods that look like a coffee cup. Probably want to get something like that so you can trash all your materials in that, because obviously you want to have your trash can with you. So keep that stream clean, baby.
Great tip. So same tailing material, but a shank
Same
length.
tailing material. Yeah, same tailing material.
It's probably
Again, I'm just
like
trying to
five
trying to stay.
centimeters.
Sorry.
For like 5, 6 fibers.
Yep.
Yeah, cool, cool.
5, 6 fibers, and we'll lash that down. Then I will put a rib on this guy. The other main lesson I wanted to get across here, which is something that you actually drove through my head many times, is less is more when it comes to dubbing. You don't need a whole lot. So that's definitely something we'll cover now. But first, I'm going to use that same gold soft wire.
Yep, cool.
And this is just me covering my bases in terms of like having a brown option, having an olive option for the day. So I would probably use this fly more so on the grand than the credit, let's say, for talking about local waters.
Any reason or just confidence?
Well, it's more caddis. So I find that in in a water body where there's more caddis, olive definitely tends to work well, for sure. It's not to say there's a lot, there are a lot of bugs in the grand, but there are a lot of caddis in the grand, and so in a system where you'll find more caddis, it's nice to have the option. Of course, there are also many mayflies there too, so that's why brown, brown, black, olive definitely covers for me, for my style of angling, covers your bases. And like I said, very sparse. We're trying to stay really, really sparse, just a whisper of dubbing, because we want that slim profile.
So are you willing to share on air the secret blend, or is that
Oh yeah,
Aldo's eyes
totally.
only?
Yeah, no, it's not a secret at all. I use, I definitely use hairline. Like the hairline products are great. I usually want to blend something really neutral, like the olive hairline, with like a little bit of ice dub or UV dub. And in this case, it's I'll blend my olive with cream, like a creamy ice dub. So if you can kind of, I don't know if you can kind of pick it up, but it's a little bit iridescent. I don't know if you can see that. Are we seeing that? Is anybody seeing this?
Yeah, no.
But it's like you get the iridescence from the UV dub, and I just really like that. I think that's one of the best things in modern fly tying is UV. Loving UV.
Yeah.
And colored beads,
Yeah,
and UV.
that's pretty solid too. I gotta be honest, I'm not entirely sold that fish actually, pick up and really see UV light all that well, but I just love the little like blue purple shimmer it gives. Like I've got my confidence goes through the roof if I've got that. No clue if fish can see the
I'm with
UV,
you,
but
man.
even if
It's
they
like,
can't,
you're right.
right? It's just that.
Maybe there's no science behind it.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps my confidence, which I find makes me fish better.
Sure.
It's kind of strange. I find that my drifts are better when I know my fly's great. I'm not like second guessing that. Okay, so obviously I've dubbed the body. I'm now putting the gold rib on. I'll secure that and break it off. And then we're going to do, we'll go back to the pink collar. But I would also, if we were trying to stay neutral, we could do more of a subdued color like black or yellow. Although I've never really loved yellow for me personally, but I know many people do, and that's totally cool. But I'm going to go back to pink because I love it so much. And again, we're just trying to stay nice and sparse. So yeah, if the first lesson was try to use different materials to make a body to stay quick, and the second lesson was, oh my god, I couldn't believe how fast ecstasy is to manipulate and use, then the third lesson is to stay prepared. Stay prepared or prep beforehand, and just keep your materials organized and just be ready to tie. And then, because that way you can bang out a few flies for yourself or maybe your ill-prepared friends. And
they know who they are.
and everybody's fishing and having a good day, I've come to start liking watching other people catch fish more than myself. It's fun. Probably what. So that's it. It's just another simple little Frenchy style, like whatever you want to call it. Hare's ear style.
Basis of every nymph you ever need.
Just a little nymphy. Just the basis of a little. Yeah, exactly. It's all impressions. Okay, squirmy time for sure.
Just blazing through these things. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. So these are all flies I've definitely used often. I use a gigantic bead on my squirmies. I'm back to a size 12. Although you could probably what I did this for this fall, we had I think a lot of people had kind of understood that the big head was kind of on fire this fall. I did very well on the big head. I using nymphs, but also, you know, I using a squirmy every once in a while, and I would tie them on a larger hook, like a size 10. And that seemed to be really effective. But I'm on a size 12, again, a Dohiko, but with a much larger bead. I'm on I think a 4 mil bead for this one, but I tie them up to 4.6 as well. Silver bead for me works great. I know there are many squirmy bead colors that you can do, but I find that silver works really well for me. Silver is it plated when they've got like the looks like a golf ball?
Yeah, the faceted.
Faceted.
Yeah.
So faceted works really well, and I also find just like the nickel plated, like the dark color can work really well. I use pink. I use like the blood worm color for my squirmies. But again, going back to that Pennsylvania trip, Tim was like, well, this fly is just so popular, and everybody's using it, that he started tying his in like more of a neutral, like earthy color.
Yeah.
I mean, worms are brown, kind of.
Yeah.
And he said he loves that color, but
super underrated.
and I know you guys now stock every squirmy color on the face of the earth.
Pretty much.
Also,
we do what the people want.
Bobbin threader is a great tool. Just a great tool. It's underrated.
Yeah.
Love bobbin threader. So I'm gonna go with pink thread, obviously.
Cool.
Come on, baby.
Yeah, silver bead makes sense too. As we learned with Ian's streams, silver is like the most aggressive, brightest bead that you can fish, and so squirmy's a pretty in-your-face, bright fly. You know,
right
in heaven, pair them up, get noticed. That said, for myself, I like gold too, especially with the red. I don't know, it's just something about gold and red looks good together, I think.
Also, there's something to be said about, I don't know, there's something to be said about just having a few different bead colors for, I don't know, different water stained.
Yep.
I find that, you know, like you're right. I love gold I definitely love golds and silvers for more natural looking nymph ties. Like if I am tying like an actual pheasant tail with pheasant tail, I'll probably just use gold. I just love the way that looks. But hare's ears, I find I can be a little bit, or hare's ear style nymphs with a paler body. I find I play a little bit more with bead color. But bead color is definitely something to consider, and just trying different things. I've been told by Colin Huff that my bead placement is highly controversial. I placed my bead in the middle.
Sure did.
But you know what? It works, so I don't know. So what I'll do is I build up the thread at the head first. I don't know if I'm doing anything properly here, but I'll do the thing. I build up the thread at the head.
Yep.
Thread's doing something funny. There we go.
Did you say what size thread that was?
And then I'll tie in my... Now, Chris, I know that you sometimes thread your squirmies. I haven't perfected that, but that would make this really quick.
Yeah, I was showing that
one right?
in the basement of a cabin during a competition from another guy who just called me basically stupid for wrapping squirmy material. Like, no, give this to me. Pierce it on the hook. But it doesn't feel as good.
Idea, this.
It looks it looks weird.
Yeah.
So you tie it. Sorry, just backtracking there since we were talking. So you just kind of lash your thread over and back the bead to hold it back from the eye a little bit.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I'll lash forward and back. I find that I try to fit the squirmy material in the actual slot of the bead to cover up any of those thread wraps. Again, this is like the dirty part of quick and dirty. I find that like I'm using this in high water. I'm using this in quick water. It's a 4 to 4.6 millimeter bead. I don't think the fish are looking at this for very long. So I'm definitely and I lose so many of these. I lose so many of these. I'm like, I'm not trying to be pretty with this. I'm just trying to get it on the hook. I'm just trying to tie it and just make as many as I possibly can and go from there. So yeah, sorry. I build the thread at the head. I secure the bead in the middle by cross wrapping, and then I'll build up a little bit of a thread base on the hook bend side of the fly, and where I eventually secure the squirmy material.
Sure.
I'll wrap a bit here, and then I'll lash back forward with the thread, and then I'll just let the material do the rest of the work. What I find is like I'll pull. This kind of seating kind of strange here. I'm just gonna get this to the top. What I want to do is I want to, as I'm wrapping with the squirmy material, pull really tightly, because then you'll get you'll get nice you'll get the bands of the squirmy material beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
Also very important, don't use any head cement on these things. It will melt them, right?
There will. That said, I find UV glue is fine. I haven't had.
Oh yeah.
Well, I haven't had issue, but I do know that some types of UV glue also heat up quite a lot. So maybe just do a little spot test, see what happens. But I've had good luck doing that at least. I don't know. I mean, like you say, you lose so many. I would also.
You just lose so many. This is the fly you tie to lose, So
I'd also say you probably just don't want to tie like tons of them in advance. I don't know if you found that. I find they just they'll fall apart after a year.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing is like if you're bumping them all over the place, or a fish actually does hit it, chances are that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got an email. So yeah, that's quick. Again, with keeping with the quick and dirty theme, this is the dirty fly. But it catches a lot of fish. My Colin Huff, don't at me for my bead placement. But again, it's literally three things. It's your thread, it's your squirmy material, it's your bead, and it can be really effective. Again, early season, coming up around the quarter, high water. It's hard to beat that fly if you are, Euro nymphing with a squirmy. And Chris, to your point, another great steelhead fly.
Yeah.
Another great steelhead nymphing fly.
Oh yeah.
Which is cool. Actually, while we're on the topic, if you want to stay quick, you want to cure things quickly. I mean, you're right. UV with a UV light, or if you've got the sun, or if it's the summer, you can pop them all in your dash and have them cured pretty quickly. That's a good little hack too. Just so you're not bringing head cement.
I could be wrong. I'm not sure that they'll cure through glass, like the glass of your.
Oh right, because of course they protect with the UV.
Yeah, you'll have to take them outside.
If they do, your car's broken.
Yeah.
The last one's a trout fly. It's still in the trout world, but has definitely been used to catch non-trout things. It's a little vamp leech, little vamp leech. I'm going to be using I feel like I'm sponsored by Dohiko here, but I really just do love their hooks. Dohiko, it's the streamer size 12. In this case, I've got a non-slotted bead, lime green. Silver is good. I just find lime green's kind of a cool pattern too. I'm going to be using some micro UV polar chenille in black, but of course it's gives off a little bit of that iridescent purple, which is super fishy, I find. And then just a really simple strong marabou black. Of course, you can buy like so much. Comes in a big old pack. That's for entertainment purposes. I've obviously pre-beaded all of my hooks. Normally they wouldn't come with the bead on them. That's another thing if you wanted to turn into a little bit of a fly factory. And you're going to tie 6 flies, bead them all first, and then you can just get to tying, and you don't have to like fumble around and stuff. So if you want to stay efficient tying, that's a good way to stay organized too. Is like, I know I'm going to tie 6 silver ones, 6 pink ones, and line them all up first, and then you can just knock them down, kind of thing. It doesn't screw up your flow. But if that's what you want to do too, beat them up every time. No real rules here. Got the thread on. I'm using a Vivus G thread 100 strand.
Mm. Question, I don't think you mentioned size of that bead. Is that it looks like 5 30 seconds?
Yeah, 5 to 30 seconds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. This is actually one of my favorite bass flies too.
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's just a leech, right? End of the
panfish for
day.
sure. I've
Yeah,
always done. I've always done well panfish on this
yeah.
one,
Just
but I've never actually used it for
I like a
bass.
really big one, like an 8, and then just throw.
Oh yeah.
Oh, lights out.
All right. I mean, it is essentially kind of like it is a woolly bugger, kind of.
Pretty much.
Alrighty.
This is also a good platform. Like if anyone just wants to tie like really small woolly buggers,
Mm-hmm.
it's a solid one because you can't get to wrap, chenille and hackle and stuff on like a really small, like a 12 or even a 14 or whatever. It's tough, but this is, scale it right down.
Secure this a little bit better, and then I'm going to clip the. Clip this on here. Come on, baby. There we go. And then I try to say, I don't know, try to say kind of slim with this guy. Definitely, I've used it in still water scenarios, so want it to sink. And I'll get the chenille on. But this fly has definitely saved a lot of days as well. I would also say olive with an orange bead. I've really, really come to love like those hot spotty kind of colors. I think, if this was 5 years ago, I'd be like, I have no confidence in that lime green. Um, but now I just find that I don't know what it is. I like orange and lime for streamers, and I'm really digging those pinks and I like those multicolored ones for yeah, even those multicolored ones.
Yeah, they're fun for sure.
For nymphs. I don't know. They kind of look like tie dye.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean. I don't fish many
Yeah,
of them myself, but
I
they're
find
cool.
I'm enjoying those as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okie dokie.
It's funny you say that it's saved a lot of days. Fly is very similar. There's another fly you might know. It's called a blank saver, which is, I mean, pretty well the same thing, really. And yeah, it's exactly what it is. Saves the blank.
Where's that fly from?
It kind of comes from the competition world. It's like, to my knowledge, it's kind of the American version of this fly, whereas this is actually a Canadian design fly from Pod Oishi in BC.
Okay, so yeah, obviously I've wrapped the UV, the micro, again going back to my love of UV. I've wrapped the micro UV pretty tightly next to each other, kind of like hockey tape style, to the head. And as you can see, it's got a slim profile, but it just looks super buggy. Like it's a really hairy, buggy fly, and I just find that it just, I guess, yeah, if we weren't using a hotspot, if you're using no bead or, maybe like a gold or a nickel, it would be a really, really nice, subtle, super fishy, buggy fly. I just think it just work. It's worked for me many times. It's saved many days. It's caught trout in lakes. It's caught trout in streams. If anybody follows along with us, we definitely go to Temagami a lot, and this is great for brookies. I find used it up in Esnagami as well for brookies. It was the craziest day. Mitch and I was the first time I've ever seen a dragonfly hatch.
Oh yeah.
Really big, black dragonflies, and this was obviously doing we were dead drifting these flies, and they were acting like nymphs, and the brookies were going, and the walleye actually were going pretty nuts for them, because I guess they were just gorging themselves on dragonfly nymphs. I can honestly say I've never been part of a dragonfly hatch before, though. That was kind of cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, that would be my last like quick and painless fly. Like three materials, very quick, very easy. Then you've got a really effective streamer, which is awesome.
That's so good. We blew through, what was that, 5-6 flies in not even 50 minutes, 40 minutes once we count the intro. That's what they should
Yeah,
be, right? That's the idea.
that's what it's for. Yeah, I think like I said, I've come to actually kind of enjoy tying at lunchtime when I'm on the river. It kind of like mellow, especially if I'm by myself. It kind of just like mellows me out. But in some cases, it is a necessity for us. Again, sometimes there's only that one thing working, and we have unfortunately catching fish is part of the job, and getting a photo of it. But that all aside, I think it's just like kind of a fun practice to like goes back to old trout fishing books I used to read and seeing like people picking up a fly and tying it right by the bank. Maybe it's not exactly about that, but it is kind of cool to be outside and tying and stuff. And all of us are traveling more and there's so many awesome products out there these days that can allow us to do this. And yeah, I thought it'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
I would.
cool to go over.
I would agree. Are there any other final like parting hacks that you want to share with us? Little tricks that you use to carry stuff or transport things?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot. I mean, try and find like I would say like try and find, especially like I can say this, especially like try and find ways to make 2 or 3 materials just work for you. Like I remember when somebody showed me, the way you can make just a black leech out of nothing but marabou, one big thing of marabou, and you're like, whoa! It like kind of opened my eyes. Um, Again, like I think Chris, you brought up a good point of staying organized. Like try and break everything down into I feel like one day I'm gonna side note. I feel like one day I'm just gonna completely blow it and drop this and lose thousands, hundreds of dollars of beef. But anyway, try to save, pack ahead and stay organized and less is more kind of thing by the river. And yeah, and then also just like catalog things that work for next time. And I always try to have 2 or 3 different, if anyone was to look at my boxes, I always try to have 3 or 4 of this of every fly that I know I'm going to use a lot of, because if it does start working, you inevitably start losing it more. Or whatever, like, oh, I finally found the fly I worked, and you snag a tree 3 times in a row, and you're like, damn it.
Or you're fishing
So
with
yeah,
a friend who doesn't have
I
it.
think it's about just kind of planning ahead is what I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great takeaway, absolutely. And like say, yeah, you can find patterns with like a lot of crossover materials too, right? So like I mean if you watch like I keep referencing it, but they're just such great streams, like the ones that Ian did with us the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the 3 different streams on 3 different sort of types of materials, and just look how many flies you can create with that, especially when it comes to trout, which is probably where this particular kind of thinking around fly tying comes in, because we're losing flies more often. But like you can just bang at so many different patterns with pheasant tail, hare's ear, and CDC. Keep it super simple. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, I think it's like, yeah, definitely pragmatic tying is where I'm at in life, and we're all, well, maybe these days we're not so busy. we're all at home, but we will be busy again, and just trying to find flies that work, that are effective and efficient. I think is what I try to do in my tying.
Wicked. Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing all those awesome tips with us. I'm sure everyone got something great, or a few things out of that.
Yeah,
Cool.
thanks for having me. I again, happy birthday. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I hope everybody's staying safe, and everybody's looking forward to a Southern Ontario trout opener, which is coming
Less
up
than 2
around
months
the
to go.
corner. And this is the time to tie. Time to tie is now.
You got it. Yeah, start loading those boxes.
Yeah.
Cool. So as we sign off here, this is a bit of a short stream, but that's cool. Get everyone back to whatever they're doing on their Thursday night. We've got more coming up. We're going to be going probably just 1 stream a week. Kind of starting now. It's just getting quite busy. So, and everyone's got fishing on the brain and a million things to do. So we'll be starting doing more 1 stream, maybe 2 here and there, but a bunch more in the books. I believe next week we have our very own Winston coming on to show off some steelhead flies. Yep, just double checking there. That is the case. He's doing a couple with us. We have Andrew Marr, who's a guide up at Wollaston Lake Lodge doing pike flies. We have local guide who you know, Aldo, Tyler Dunsmore, coming on just early next month to do some steelhead flies too, and we'll look at book.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
If you want to book a guy, I'd highly recommend.
Yeah. So lots to look forward to, and yeah, we'll be scheduling more stuff as well and dropping more videos on our YouTube page as well. So everyone, stay tuned to that. In the meantime, if anyone needs anything, you know where to come, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a good night.